My name is Lauren. I did the 2003 Mexican Migration Mosaic. Someone suggested to me, you know, maybe you should try the Mosaic program instead. And I was like, all right, I'll do it. And it really, as everyone has mentioned, I'll echo them, it really did change my life. The program, as Professor Rose mentioned earlier, we worked closely with the migrant workers in Adams County, Pennsylvania. And these are the people that were picking fruit and packaging fruit, and also then using that money that they made and sending it back home, and then oftentimes going back home to Paribon in Mexico. And the thing about Mosaic, because I did it my sophomore year, the first semester of my sophomore year, I refer to it as college boot camp, because when you go into a program where you are reading and doing research and reading ethnographies and then sitting in people's homes and going into the fields, like the first time I put on the bag that they put the apples in and felt the weight of it, it was like a real, it was like, oh my gosh, this is a metaphor for like, I felt the weight of the job, you know, and that's not something that you would ever get just by reading essays or, you know, scholarly journals. That's not something that you get. And the reason why I refer to it as college boot camp is because when you have the entirety of your coursework and you have maybe 2 or 3 professors and you see them every day, you are living with them, you're traveling with them, it's hard to do mediocre work when you know that this person who I'm staying in a hotel with is going to look at me and say, I know you can do better. You know, you can't, it's hard to be like, well, that professor is just a professor, when you're really living and doing the work together, and that person almost becomes, you know, a colleague and a mentor. I was a good student when I came to Dickinson. Both my parents work in higher education. My dad's a professor, my mom's an assistant provost. They taught me how to be a good student, like how to do well in school. But after Mosaic, I never ever got anything below an A-, ever, in any class. Because after I got out of that program, I knew how to write, I knew how to interview, I knew how to interpret interviews, I knew how to get the work done at a level that I had not ever achieved before. So the program really changed me as a student, and after I returned from doing Crossing Borders, I went back to Adams County, and because I felt such an affinity for the community, I taught ESL classes, helped babysit for children while the parents were taking ESL classes, and it really did shape my Dickinson experience. And now I don't even know what you guys do on that side of the table. I'm just going to guess. I have the least noble profession up here. I write jokes for TV. So I'm not changing the world in any way. But I will say my experience in the Mosaic really, honestly, literally prepared me for that job. When I went to New York and started working as a production assistant at VH1, I was the fastest transcriber in the building because I had spent a whole semester doing it, and I didn't. The interviews were in English, so that was even easier, you know. And so I'm sitting there like, I cannot believe that all that work I did in Mexico is like making me a superstar TV production assistant. And it, you know, but the skills that I used in that program, I learned how to interview people. I still do that. They're not as interesting. They may be Real Housewives, but they are still people. And I transcribe the interviews. I find what's interesting about the interviews, what's funny about them, and turn them into a story. And that's all stuff that I did in the Mexican Mosaic program.